this is Claire. I'm going to take my glasses off.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hi.
Welcome back to High on History. I'm Jordan.
And I'm Liz.
And today I am covering the mistresses of Louis XIV.
And I am covering Versailles, the theater of power. Oh yes, oh yes. And, my lords and ladies, if you happen to have one of these, you're going to want to stick around to the end of the episode, because we will be talking about the secret fan language of Versailles.
Ultimately, we are diving into the courts of Versailles to elaborate the depth of detachment.
Yeah. There's, we're not just delving into Versailles for its own sake, even though it is so much fun and it's so interesting, but also because, just to draw the through line a little early, I think.
Yeah.
The amount of money and the amount of debauchery and the amount of scandal and all that went into the theatricality of Versailles and the danger of Versailles is part of what made the people just sick to death of what the nobility was getting away with and was doing to them. Mm-hmm. And it becomes an incredible scandal. It is the ultimate corrupt court.
Absolutely.
In so many ways. And so the people will wind up having something to say about that at some point. We'll cover that. We will cover that in several episodes from now.
Yes. So, do you... I guess it would be me starting, since we're going to finish with you in the fan language, right? That's what it sounds like?
I suppose so. I feel like I had volunteered to go first this week, and then I had planned to close the episode with this at the same time. I'm so sorry. I'm such a space cadet.
It is all good. Okay, so I'm going to start then with a very, very brief flashback to Louis XIII. He was also known as Louis the Chase, actually, was his nickname. And he was actually very faithful to his wife, the Queen Anne of Austria. He did have a confidant. Her name was Marie de Hautefort. Sorry, French is a very hard language for me. And they had a strict platonic friendship. She was his most trusted she was his most trusted advisor, confidant. They were best friends, but there was never anything intimate between them other than just their friendship. And Anne and her were actually cool to hang out with each other. They enjoyed tea and she was not hated by the queen either. She was welcomed into the family pretty much as just a, hey, you're the best friend.
Oh, would you have my soda?
Oh, there you go. So now that I got Louis the Chase out of the way, we're going to move on to Louis the Sun King. Sickly. Louis the Sickly. Anyways, he took on a ton of mistresses. The unofficial, official record is 15 to 20, not official mistresses. These were just ladies he bedded. There's 15 to 20 women that are somewhat on record. According to a bunch of different historians, all the different documentaries I watched. But there were 3 official mistresses, and in a lot of these documentaries, and I wanted to make this point kind of clear, a lot of these documentaries say he legitimized all of his children. No. The ladies that were not his official mistresses, those children were just their kids. The children that he did legitimize were those of his mistresses. The official title of, the ladies who held the official title of Mistress en Titriere. If anyone knows French, I would love a quick French lesson for this segment.
After we do it, of course.
And the problem with him legitimizing so many children is it caused discrepancies of titles, of heirs, of receiving of the heirs when he died. And it created a lot of political entanglement, too.
Right.
And so his first mistress, girlfriend, she was a lover. Louis XIV actually loved this woman before being married to his queen, Maria Theresa. She was Marie Mancini. She was actually the niece of Cardinal Mazarin.
Mazarin.
Thank you. I knew you'd get that one right. And this relationship was actually forbidden by both the cardinal and his mother. And that was because that was right around the time when they just signed the paperwork between Maria Theresa's family and their engagement. So the way they fell in love is she prayed by his bed constantly. And she tended to him when he had typhoid. I believe he was like in his early teens at this point. He was like 16. I don't have those notes. I know I have that age somewhere. Check out the previous episode of his medical history. You'll know that answer. And so her prayers, her devotion touched him, and they loved each other. And because of that, she got shipped off right before Maria Theresa came into the picture. She was sent away in June of 1659, and they were forbidden to continue a relationship from there. So no children in that one to legitimize. Then he had Louise de la Villerière. Again, I'm probably saying that name wrong.
I can do some of these.
Yeah, here we go.
Here, I'll have to put on my glasses. The glare from the glasses, it's just, it drives me nuts, so I feel like I ought to take them off.
Right.
Vallière.
I wasn't that far off. I think I actually said that.
Louis de Vallière.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, she was born into minor nobility on August 6th, which is my mom's birthday, in 1644.
Ooh, Leo.
Yeah, she's a Leo. And so when her dad died, her mom actually remarried Gaston, Duke of Orleans.
Oh.
Now, if anyone remembers that name, that was the brother of Louis the 13th, I believe. Maybe Louis the 14th. No, Louis the 13th, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the brother of Louis the 13th. Ooh. So, that's how they ended up meeting. They were pretty much cousins, I guess.
Yeah.
Technically not. They were cousins by marriage. I love this grapevine. And so they had a child, hang on, Louise François de la Vermeer, oh, that was her full name, never mind. That was Tour Sigmar de la Vera military off, that was her father. Okay, sorry, I had a few extra details that I don't know why I actually had written in there. I went down a rabbit hole, I guess. So she was actually, Louise de la Verrière, is the first official mistress after marrying Maria Theresa. And she deeply loved Louis. Mm-hmm. She loved Louis for who he was. Mm-hmm. And all his glam and glory. She adored him on every authentic level that man could be around her in private. He loved her for the same reasons of the fact that she was devoted to him as just his character of who he is. And I want to emphasize why I specify on his character, because a lot of his mistresses and a lot of future mistresses are in it for the money grab. They want the power. They want the affairs. They want to be, and when I say affairs, they want to be in the middle of the political decision-making process.
Right.
a lot of the Louis XIV's mistresses are not political at all.
Mm-hmm.
The future mistresses of Louis XV are definitely more political, and we'll get into that later in a couple episodes. She officially, so the way they met, besides being cousins by marriage, is in 1661. She became a lady in waiting for his sister-in-law, Henrietta of England, Duchess of Orleans, who is also Orleans. I'm an American. And she's the wife of the king's brother, Duke Philippe, Duke of Orleans, and he's the younger and only brother.
You don't need to pronounce the S either.
I get on people when they say Illinois.
Same thing. Same thing.
I know. And she was believed to have been brought to court as a front to actually conceal the affair that Louis XIV was having with his sister-in-law, Henrietta. But in the long run, because she was meant to conceal the affair, and this is just speculation, I mean, like, there's no proof that he was boinking his sister-in-law, but out of this concealment conspiracy, they actually did fall in love. It was sincere. She was modest and pious. She was opposite of all the glamour and glitz of the court, and that's what he loved about her.
Right, because he really felt like she was authentic in a world that was becoming more plastic to him by the day.
Yep. And she had, like I had just mentioned, she had minimal influence over the court decision-making. She had no real powerful pull. She actually was uncomfortable in the public light and didn't really like having the affair. She loved Louis for who he was, so she did have the affairs with him. But because of how public being the official mistress, that's what made her uncomfortable, because she was set back. She didn't like that public life and being in the eye of the court constantly, because they all talked and gossiped behind their little fans.
It was so bad. It was so bad.
So, yeah. And she again, she lacked the ambition to grab power, and that was one of her downfalls. She had her children legitimized, and he granted her the title of Duchess. They had 4 children together. 2 of them died as infants. That was Charles and Felipe. They had a daughter, Anne-Marie de Bourbon, Mademoiselle de Blois. She married a prince of Conti. And then they also had their son, Louis de Bourbon. And that actually created Count of Vermandour. And then by 1667, King Louis's affection had began shifting to Marquise de Montespan. And we all know this lovely lady. So, okay, and I wanted to quickly, before I move on to Montespan, you had mentioned for like the building of the palaces in one of the last episodes. I don't remember which mistress you said had.
I couldn't remember the name of the mistress.
Well, that was this lady that we just were talking about, Louise de la Valliere.
Okay,
she was the one who had the influence and the suggestion. Now, I did decide to like deep dive sort of afterwards, since I had all of this planned out weeks in advance already. There's no official record, and I'm gonna kind of chalk up that no official record that she actually had any influence as because she was a lady. It was probably a private conversation that she just was like, oh, what about this? And because she's so shy and quiet, she's not going to go on official record.
So, we didn't make that up out of the blue, though. We heard that in a documentary. So do you think the documentary just made it up?
I don't think it...
Or is it rumor?
I think it is a, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say like a myth or a lore, But I want to think of it as a romanticized version of giving her some sort of influence. Like I've covered how she had no ambition to have any power, and she really was uncomfortable with the public affair.
Interestingly enough, that was one of the points that they were making in the documentary. She wasn't. She was incredibly creative and artistic.
Yeah.
And the idea, I think what was said was that she was the one who spoke to the architect about the envelope in order to keep the chateau in effect. But it was a behind the scenes thing. It wasn't that she wanted influence at all. Yeah. It was that she was artistic and could see the vision that Louis had in a way that his architects were not seeing.
And I think you're absolutely right on that. As well. Can you pass me my soda on the other side of that?
Oh, absolutely, of course. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So just to kind of like clarify that, it was her that is part of that myth, that story.
Whether it's romanticized or not.
Whether or not it's a true story of where the envelope idea actually came from, because there's no record of where that idea truly came from other than from the architect who built it. But that doesn't mean he came up with the idea by himself. That's the beauty of conversation. That's the beauty of like talking about plans and blueprints. Our smoke session, our pre-recording sound check, is us actually deciding on next episodes. But anyways, so now, so when Louis started shifting his attention to Montespan, there was a problem. She was married. Montespan was, and in order to like allow them to have an affair, she was forced to move into Montespan's cabins and share apartments with Montespan to save face, while Louis had his affair with Montespan, where poor
You're not making this clear. Can you clean that up for me?
Yeah, let's clean that up. So, okay. When King Louis started fancying Madame de Montespan, in order to save face, because she was married, and having an affair while she was married was a big no-no. But he could sleep with whoever he wanted because he was king. But because she was married...
Right. Yeah. That was the problem there.
Okay. So, in order to save face with all of that scandal, Louis made his former mistress, Lady Lavière, share her apartments with Montespan. Talk about scandal, because Louis would come visit her, Montespan, in their apartments together.
Now, to be clear, these were lavish collections of rooms.
Yeah.
So it wasn't necessarily super in their face.
It was extremely in her face, though.
Oh, was it?
It was extremely in her face, because in order to have the privacy to do what King Louis and the married Montespan wanted to do, they had to keep their affair in their apartments. Until the divorce or the death. Hang on, I'll get to that in a minute. So eventually, Louise was granted to leave court, and she ended up begging the queen for forgiveness, where she retired to living in a convent. She actually ended up outliving her rival Montespan by a year.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Also, she became quite a good nun, did she not?
She was a great nun. She lived a very pious life. She devoted herself to Sister Louise of Mercy until her death, and that was the Carmelite convent she lived at. She spent a lot of her time in penance, giving back to the people. I could have gone more in depth of what she actually did, but she was a very devoted sister to the covenant. Oh my God.
Convent.
Thank you.
That was so cute.
I know. I am mystery. Okay.
Oh,
Now.
this is my bestie, yo.
And so, after she left court, Marquise de Montespan comes into the picture. And to kind of like start off with like who Montespan is, she was the oldest. She was born to the oldest and most prestigious family in France, the House of Rocheront, I think is how it's pronounced. I actually Googled that and listened to it for like 3 hours and could not figure it out. Rocheront or something like that.
Rochouat.
Yeah.
Rochouat.
And Montespan was extremely well educated. She was well connected to Louis's court through her family connections and high status. She was even a lady in waiting for Louis's sister-in-law, Henrietta, as well as later his wife, Maria Theresa. She was born on October 5th, so happy early birthday to Madame Montespan. Wait, that might actually be today. Today might be the 5th. No, today's the 4th.
Today's the 4th.
So
happy. Yeah. Wait, but when this airs,
it will be her birthday.
It will be the birthday. So
happy birthday to Lady Montespan. And so her husband that we were just gossiping about, his name was Louis Henry de Pardalilion de Gondrin, the Marquise de Montespan. They had 2 children together.
So this is the husband.
This is the husband.
And they have 2 kids.
Yep.
Ooh, the scandal.
Yeah, right? And this was so kind of how Montespan got Louis's eye is Lady Louise, the first mistress, kind of was like, hey, Madame Montespan, can you keep Louis's attention? Figuring that their marriage would be, like, sanctified, and like, hey, you're married, don't sleep with my husband, my boyfriend kind of thing.
Right.
But keep him company. Well, she ended up taking that as a power grab opportunity. Mm-hmm. She took that opportunity to captivate his attention. And
so she ensnared him on purpose.
Oh, yeah. At least that is what the legend is.
Interesting.
Yeah. She was known for her beauty at court, as well as her wit and sharp tongue. And she's the official mistress for over a decade. And she's where we get the lavish spending. She's where we're going to really see the influence of their status. And when I say their status, I mean all of the future official mistresses of all the kings that we're about to discuss. And so she was the epitome of what luxury and influence should be for her title, her position. Her husband was outraged. He protested. This is what I find hilarious. He even wore black in mourning to court for weeks in protest. As a mock funeral he even held for her. He even held a mock funeral. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
He was mad. And because...
Well, yeah.
I mean, rightfully so, too. Like, bro, you just took my hot wife. And anyways, the king ended up exiling him because of all of this bullshit Nikes. And because of, like, divorce proceedings and stuff, Louis just basically flaunted his title and forced a divorce and legally separated them.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. Which is, I mean, like, a scandal all on its own.
So he made the church give him a divorce because he was king.
No. Made Montespan divorce Lady Montespan.
What a...
Yeah.
And then just exile the dude, and then like,
Uh-huh.
also you are kicked out of France because I want your wife.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Also, you're being a real downer about it.
Yeah, I mean, like...
You should be honored. I don't understand. Why do you have to be such a downer about it?
Right. So, married mistress was preferred due to the possible children born, but used the power to accumulate wealth and prestige. Countries sought her favor, courtiers. Sorry, I read that as countries. So, because of her wealth and power, after all of that scandal went down, she actually used her power to accumulate more. To the point where the courtiers were begging her for attention to get favors with her boyfriend.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah, so
she's the ultimate gatekeeper.
Oh yeah, she's the ultimate gatekeeper. She's bad. And she's actually eventually referred to as the true Queen of France with how much power she grabbed.
Wow.
Yeah, she grabbed it all. She made the courtiers beg for his attention through her granting her whatever she wanted from them. She extorted, blackmailed, dude, talk about, savage. She was, queen bee.
Ooh, the ultimate mean girl.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And she had sway over all sorts of minstrels, all sorts of courtiers, as well as she took military appointments with generals. Oh yeah, she would have private meetings with official minstrels of the offices of parliament. Ministers, yeah. I have an L in there for some reason. Yeah. She'll have private meetings with them just so she can have influence of the 30-year war that's going on at this time. And oh yeah, no, this girl's got her hands in puppeteering everything.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. She had so much power over the nobles that she elevated so many of her family members too. She done brought everybody into the court.
Oh yeah. I'll bet she ticked a lot of people off that way.
Of course she did.
Yeah.
But at the same time, she had Louis wrapped around her little finger. So, like you said, she was the ultimate gatekeeper. And all of her lavish parties were in her apartments too. All of her private meetings were not out in a private room within the library or in a general meeting hall. No, they were all taken privately in her court. In her little apartment, that's where all the meetings took place. Everybody wanted to be in her apartments. Her place was the it place to be. That was Club 59. That was CBGB's. That was the venue to be at, pretty much.
It's better than that. It's the backstage pass. You're sitting at the owner's table,
Even better.
Yeah.
Not only do you want to just be there for tea, being there gives you the VIP treatment and pass.
Yeah.
So
if you couldn't get right next to Louis, get next to his mistress.
Oh yeah, and you definitely wanted to be with Montespan's party. So they had 7 children together. And again, just like his former mistress and the children that they had, they were legitimized as well. And they were all given, again, like the other children, the surname de Bourbon. Unfortunately, his eldest daughter died before he legitimized this group of children. Yeah. So technically, she was never legitimized, but still, upon her death, was given the name de Bourbon. And that was Louise Francois. She was born in 1669 and died in 72. And then we have Louise Auguste, Duke of Maine, Louis Caesar, Count of Vixen, Louise Francois, Mademoiselle de Nantes, And then we also have Louise Marie-Anne, Mademoiselle de Tours. Sorry. And she got the de Tours from her mother, Montespan, who was originally a de Tours.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. And then there was also, excuse me, Francois Marie, Mademoiselle de Blois. And then Louis Alexander, Count of Toulouse. I just love the name Toulouse. I have loved that name since the Aristocats came out. Okay, sidetracked there for a second there. And now her personal, oh yeah, I just covered all of that. Her personal, oh yeah, no, I did not. Sorry, my notes are a little sideways because I haven't actually looked at them in a few days. So her personal apartments were right next to his. After they got rid of the first mistress and she retired to the convent, she moved her apartments right next door. I mean, like, her whole little complex. And then his his 5, like, massive rooms that he had to himself or whatever. She had, like, 5 bedrooms. Like, she had the most bedrooms, like, other than him.
Mm-hmm.
And they were right next to each other.
So they basically had their own private palace within the palace.
Yeah. Yeah. And this was a public statement to her importance to him.
Was this the mistress who had the bathrooms installed?
You know, I don't think I actually looked that up. I don't know about that. She might have been.
So one of the mistresses, and I think it was this one.
It might have been Montespan.
That does make a lot of sense.
Right.
Had bathrooms installed in her apartments, and the idea of these indoor baths, it was basically to them like a spa, to have this inside. And apparently her and Louis spent many happy hours in her bathroom.
I think that might be Louis XV that did that.
Was it?
I think it was Louis XV. I feel like...
You might be right.
I feel like that was something
We've watched so many documentaries and they
so
believed it.
many.
You might be right. You're probably right.
But I will have that answer for my next Mistress episode, part 2, whenever that airs. I will have that episode. I will have that cleared up for next episode. So moving her apartments right next to him was a big public statement to her importance to the court and everything. It also was right next to his. Where was his queen? Why wasn't she the one right next to him?
Mm-hmm.
You would expect that, right? No, she had her own apartments, like, on the other side of the flippin' castle.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't blame her. Like, Maria Theresa, she was a radical, amazing queen. So, like, she had her own things going on, and her and Louis had a great relationship, even though he was obsessed with Montespan.
Yeah, see, so that's one of my favorite things about Louis XIV. He never stopped loving his wife.
He never stopped loving anyone, really.
And his wife never stopped loving him. This is true. But she was not, and this was in her own words, she didn't have much of a libido. She wasn't that into sexual escapades. And Louis, on the other hand, was very into sexual escapades. And this was just a battle that she never even fought. It never even occurred to her to fight. She just didn't. She didn't care in the slightest bit. And they had this wonderful friendship. It did result in children. They did have children. They had a lovely, you could almost call it a friends with benefits, occasional benefits sort of relationship. And Louis doted on her. But in his doting on her was him allowing her to live her own life in every respect. And she did, and she's a very powerful part of his story, not one that I don't think we're going to spend a whole lot of time covering, but yeah, she's amazing in her own right. And yes,
Yeah.
over there, and that's how they liked it. They
did.
were really quite happy with each other. In fact, I love that part of the story.
So, girl, so okay, I did talk about how she was, like, her apartments were the place to be. So, I am quickly wrapping up with the mistresses. This is my last statement pretty much on Montespan until we return to the affair of the poisons.
Oh yes,
But
the affair of the poison.
When she fell from grace because of the affair of the poisons, the first thing Louis did when he decided it was time to say bye-bye, he took away her apartments and moved himself in, doubling his space.
Oh, he just took him over. He's like, no, these are mine now.
Yeah. Kicked her out.
But you said that already.
And with that being said, because there is so much I want to cover with the affair of the poisons and the 30-Year War and other things that are going on with the world around France leading up to the French Revolution, I am going to end my conversation about Montespan, and in a couple weeks we will be returning with the affair of the poisons, witch trials and hunting.
Yeah, that's gonna be so much fun. We're about to see how dangerous the court of Versailles was.
Yeah, Versailles is about to get dark for a minute.
It is. But before we get dark,
we get to talk about the fashion.
We get to talk about the fashion. We get to talk about the gardens. And we get to talk about the beautiful rooms that made up Versailles. Because we are going to spend this next part gushing just a little bit, I want to straight up mention again, and for the umpteenth time, the cost of the building and creation of Versailles wasn't just astronomical in terms of the sheer amount of money that went into it, but in the lives and the consistent exploitation of French people, of Native American lands in the New World.
Yep. Because the colonies were already being settled at this point in the New World.
And in fact, a lot of Louis's money to build Versailles came from
the colonies.
So Louis XIII really did figure out, and Louis XIV capitalized on this, but Louis XIII actually managed to make money on the colonies.
Yeah.
There's a really long history with the French and the American colonies, and I have to say, in the longest run, the entire operation was basically an economic disaster.
Oh yeah, we'll
get
into
France.
The French and Indian War here in a little while.
It was a disaster in the beginning, it was a disaster through most of the middle, it was definitely a disaster at the end. But briefly, there was a time when they actually did get some decent expansion and they started making real money off the colonies for a while. And
Right.
Versailles was largely built on that money.
Yeah.
But it was built on exploitation, and that included the absolute vicious exploitation of the French people. And that's really important before we get into like the romantics and the partying of it and all of that.
Yeah.
Just to mention, this came at a blood price.
Yeah.
It wasn't just about the money. There's a blood price being paid for all of this.
Everything Louis did came with blood on it.
It did. It did. And he didn't know it.
Yeah.
Not in a...
Not in the slightest.
Not in a truly legitimate way. I don't think he did. I don't think he could have seen himself the way he saw himself and actually actualized it. And although there's some indication that later in his life he began...
Yeah.
He began to see a little bit more. But I think the first thing I want to mention is that Versailles and its gardens are not a palace and its gardens the way we would think of any other palace and its gardens.
Right.
It is a stage. every room of the palace is a specific type of stage for specific types of interactions. There are places where certain things are allowed and places where things are not allowed. You might be standing next to a statue. You're not just standing next to a statue. You are telling people in the room.
Yep.
So you're broadcasting. You're telling people in the room something about you, and you are broadcasting. And in that broadcasting, of course, people can and will read what they will.
Make their opinions.
So it's a place of rumor and theatricality.
Right.
And everybody's playing their role. They're not being people just in their courtly intrigues. They are players on a living stage.
Right.
And they're all
Being
the
puppeteered.
actors and the audience.
Right.
They're all the actors and the audience. And this is true right down to the servants.
Yeah.
This does not cease being true just at the level of the nobility that were, I'm going to say, imprisoned, enthralled, caged by this system. So we talked about last episode how one of the reasons that Louis picks this little village of Versailles, he's got two reasons. One is romantic. It's where his dad's hunting lodge is. He played there as a boy and he loves it. Reason number two, it is very far from Paris.
Yep.
And he makes all the nobles, as the palace is being built. So he doesn't even wait for it to stop being built. He's not done with it when he orders all of his nobles to begin moving into the palace.
Wow.
And in doing this, they're prisoners. They're not really going home and raising armies. There's only so much they can do. And then there's these features of the palace like the Halls of Mirrors. Well, in the Hall of Mirrors, every little thing you do can be seen from multiple angles by everyone in the room.
Right.
It simultaneously dazzles the eye and puts you on display. So this is a surveillance state in gilding.
Oh, wow. Never looked at the room of mirrors like that. Hall of mirrors like that.
And it wasn't the only room like that. In fact, Versailles is filled with mirrors and reflective surfaces. And all this gold
that shines on everybody.
That shines on everything and everyone all the time.
Oh, wow.
And that is because it's a living theater that is also a surveillance state in action.
Oh, yeah, he totally grabbed authoritarian power as a king.
He did. And I saw this repeated a couple of times. There were spies in the court of Louis XIV, but they were basically useless.
Yeah.
They were basically useless. Because the nobles spent all their time spying on each other.
I mean, that makes sense.
Louis didn't even have need for real spies in his court because he got all of these nobles to catfight over who was handing him his gloves that morning. And so
good point.
They're surveilling each other in this massive masquerade.
So they're all snitching on each other.
And while there were technically a lot of spies in the court, they were, for that purpose, not particularly useful. The nobles all did it themselves.
Wow.
And this is the brilliance of Louis XIV's rule. So, you know, I think people get the notion that you can say, oh, this was a good king, this was a bad king.
Right.
And what you mostly have are people who are very good at something and very flawed in other ways.
Yeah.
And Louis XIV is almost, as he is so often, a quintessential example of all of these things. He's a very quintessential example of this.
Yeah.
Because the blood spilling in the streets violence of Louis XIII wasn't happening in his France. Because he had this level of control over his nobles.
Oh, so
they were
nobody was
really
fighting.
going after each other
Right.
and causing pandemonium. There were other things that were causing pandemonium in his streets, but that wasn't it. And so, yeah, in this way, one can say he is a good king. He kept the drama contained to Versailles itself.
So nobody could really actually travel home and do whatever they want because they don't agree with him.
Right.
Everyone's too busy
And they
trying
needed-
to seek favor.
Trying to seek favor. It said the worst thing that the king could say about you was, he's a man I never see.
Oh, yeah, I remember hearing that.
Yeah. And so you were always trying to get literally within physical proximity to Louis XIV. This wasn't just about being in his court. It was about becoming important enough in the politicking, in the social circles, in the pageantry, to get close to, well, as you pointed out, the mistresses we needed, and the king himself.
Ooh. Spawn played perfectly into his fantasy world then.
Oh, absolutely. She was a consummate player. If you think, I like to use this word in shorthand, it keeps showing up in my book, but if you think of Versailles, it's like this massive masquerade of pretending.
Yeah.
Nobody metagamed the masquerade better than Montespan.
Yeah.
For a long time. She was the
true queen of France.
She was the true queen of Versailles.
Yeah.
She was, because she wasn't the queen of France.
I know.
You know,
but they
in
called
so
her
many
the true queen of France.
And I get that, but she was, and yes, she had influence, but she was almost undoubtedly the queen of Versailles.
Absolutely.
And I would say Marie-Therese was also supremely and beautifully the queen of France.
Right.
I think we may have covered some of this. There were rituals all over Versailles. So there was the levee. So the levee is when the king got out of bed, and this, from the moment he opened his eyes, absolute spectacle.
Oh, yeah.
It's a total performance. Nobles crowd his bedchamber, desperate for the honor of handing him the shirt or pouring his water. I mean, we're talking about the minutiae. Handing him his socks.
Oh, boy.
Fetching his shoes. And these are dukes and marquises. These are the nobles of his realm. And from the moment he opens his eyes, they're clamoring to be in his bedchamber just to do one tiny task.
Oh, wow.
And the whole thing's a performance. It's supposed to flow very, very smoothly.
Yeah.
At night, there was the coucher.
Ritual.
That's the bedtime ritual. So again, you want the honor of being handed Louis's shirt.
Huh.
Turning down the bed.
Wow.
And mealtimes, of course, were also
people
absolute
just gathered around him, waiting for him
spectacles.
to just say something to them.
Yeah. There's a whole... I really should have written more about this, but there's an entire... there was a bunch of politicking around stools.
Like, who sat where?
Who got to sit at all.
Oh.
So there weren't enough chairs by a long shot, and so there
Yeah.
were these stools, and they were low and somewhat uncomfortable. But other than that, it was often standing room only. And so there was a great deal of politicking about who got to sit on the stools
Ooh.
during the meals.
Yeah.
This made a huge difference.
Oh, shit.
No, yeah.
Oh, wow.
La merde. Okay. Okay. A little bit about fashion.
Ooh.
So this was fun. You couldn't wear red-heeled shoes in the court of Louis XIV. That was only for the king himself, and he loved red heels, and his chosen favorites. So the king had to give you, in particular, permission to wear red heels.
Ooh.
This was a point where even the men, they were often piling their wigs so high that they required scaffolding combs. Women's gowns stretched so wide they could barely pass through the doors, and in fact, they frequently moved sideways through the doors because this was the era where they had
Bird cages.
Yeah, and they were wide, really wide, rather than not quite like the hoop skirts you see in the American South where they're this beautiful round bell. These were the ones that go ouch.
Yeah, and almost square.
Squarish, yeah. It's an interesting look.
Yeah.
Let's see. Things like the material or the embroidery on your handkerchief.
That mattered.
Mattered to these
Where
people.
you pinned your pearl, how you wore your cuffs and flares.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Who sewed the garment and where the garment came from,
Right.
This was, I think, maybe the first age where people really started paying attention to the tailors.
Right.
Right, and you wanted to be a tailor for these people. If you were a tailor, you wanted to be known in one of these courts.
Yeah.
And you wanted these nobles to clamor for your stuff.
Right.
And it must have been a great time for the dressmakers, yes.
Yeah, right?
And that was the other thing about all this pomp and splendor and the fashion at the court of Versailles. So while the nobles are simultaneously wasting all their time trying to hand Louis a napkin,
right,
they're also absolutely bankrupting themselves to keep up with the latest.
Oh yeah.
They are spending so much money. They have to keep their wives in the latest fashion. They have to be in the latest fashion. This has never mattered more. You can't wear last season's coat. And so they're also absolutely going bankrupt trying to keep up with the Joneses. And again, they can't raise money to raise armies because they needed a new wig.
Gosh, this is genius of Louis.
It really truly was. So that's what a good king. Well, that's a matter of perspective. Effective king in keeping its nobles from revolting. Absolutely. He was. I think I'd have to go all the way to China to find a king more effective, or at least as effective as Louis XIV was, as keeping his nobles in line.
I think
this
you're
was
right.
Brilliant.
I think you're right, yeah.
And look, this was a cage, but it was a fun cage also. So
Yeah.
there's entertainment, particularly in the beginning. There's operas, there's theater.
There's so
There's
many
so
balls
much
and
entertainment.
parties. Yeah.
Yes. Fireworks,
Oh yeah.
hunts, comedies, plays.
It was the place to be.
It was the place to be. Art gallery. I mean, in the art world, Versailles was the place you wanted
Oh yeah.
your craftsmanship to show up in. And then of course in the gardens, and there's these fountains and there's statues. Now, and I covered this a little bit last week too. In those gardens, the architect who built, or the landscaper who built them, treated each section of the garden
Right.
as if it was
A private room.
A private room. Now, this I did get some notes on, if I have the correct set here.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Okay. The statues in the gardens, like everything else in Versailles, had purpose. So Diana the Huntress watched over lovers.
Oh.
And standing by a statue of Mars might indicate martial ambition.
Oh.
And everywhere there's statues of Apollo, of course, the sun god. He appears throughout all of the gardens.
Right. I mean, Louis took after being pretty much called the Sun King. The sun, like he was Apollo.
There were also mirrors in the gardens.
Really?
And the gardens were not empty places, too. So servants would have been strolling up and down the paths also with, like, trays of things and so forth. They weren't entirely... They like everything else about Versailles, the gardens are just a different theater. They're a different stage.
Yeah.
You can look out the windows at Versailles and see the gardens basically in this giant panorama.
Oh.
So nothing's really hidden, but it gives the illusion of hidden, and there were some interesting features. So there were groves scattered throughout the garden. They were a little bit hidden. They were essentially outdoor rooms, walled by hedges, and each of these was also themed and decorated.
Ooh.
Some were outdoor salons. One had a stage for private performances.
Oh, wow.
Nobles whispered alliances.
Didn't they have like musicians constantly out in the gardens too?
Yes, yeah. Well, maybe not constantly, but
Constantly, but
often, yeah. So this too is not a private place. It's just a different type of stage.
Yeah.
Yes, the cards I didn't finish. I did write the conclusion, though.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll get to that, and then we'll get to the fan language, because I know a bunch of people are waiting for that. Conclusion. Versailles was a gilded cage in which Louis XIV was cast as the Sun King, and all others were bound to orbit His Majesty in an endless spectacle of groveling and service.
Ooh.
They could not empower their own holdings, nor raise armies against him, and they spent their days and nights grasping for the privilege of handing the king a spoon. They also bankrupted themselves to look really good doing it.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Amazing. Just,
Yeah, what?
it's easy to fall in love with the romanticism and pageantry
Right.
of that world. And I think when Louis was younger, and he really was in his oats, and,
Yeah.
and created this world, it was kind of a thing of glory. I'm not going to say it wasn't a thing of glory. It was.
Right.
What a man who believes himself to be a god with a great deal of money can do. And it is weird because he's very, very removed from his people.
He is very detached.
Very detached from their realities. He doesn't see the reality of other living beings.
I mean, he lives in Versailles and never leaves his castle.
And he also sees the mob as something to fear because of his experiences as a young child.
Yeah.
So, but his head, by the time he becomes king, is so filled by his mother and Mazarin with the notion that he is
Apollo.
Basically, that he has the divine right to absolute rule.
Yeah.
It isn't even hubris coming out of him.
Right.
But enough about that. Let's get to it. Now, I had to pull this up on my phone because what I originally found and printed off it was okay, but it didn't give, I wanted the whole language. And so, I got some of it. Mm-hmm. And of course I wasn't going to get the whole thing. Colloquially, we should know, well, that's not the right word. Anyway, caveat. We should know that there were dialects within the fan and courtier languages of Versailles. So there's cliques in Versailles, right? There's different alliances and there's different cliques. And there's subtlety in the way some cliques might use some signals versus others. So among other things, the court was open, very open, to creating,
Bless you.
misunderstandings with each other.
Right.
Okay? Rumors could be started and alliances could be made or broken.
Just by the way
broken.
Somebody waved their fan.
By the way, well, it was often a combination of things, but yes.
Yeah.
And, by the way, I would not say that's a great system of governance.
Yeah.
So, I eventually got a very long list, and it became so long, in fact, that we're not going to cover it all today.
Yeah.
But we're going to cover some of it. So, here's some basic stuff. Fan held to the right cheek. Yes. Fan held to the left cheek. No. Fan covering the eyes. You've changed. Fan touching left ear. Now, this one was interesting. I didn't always understand whether some of these were supposed to be open or closed. I assumed fan touching the left ear would be like this.
Yeah, I assume closed.
And that would be, I want you to listen.
Yeah, that would make more sense. Unless, that.
Listen. Oh, yeah, I suppose. Listen. I mean, it didn't specify.
Yeah, right? Well, that's why I was like, wait, well, maybe
Inquiring minds. I'll try to get more on this. Fan touching the right ear. Someone's talking about us.
Ooh, I hear rumors.
This one's fun. Fan resting on the lips. Kiss me. Fan placed against heart. You've won my love.
Or closed?
Again, it doesn't
specify.
I would think this one would be open.
I feel like that would be more of an open.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, no, this one does specify.
Ooh.
Okay. So, open. You've won my love. half open over heart. I still care.
Ooh.
And closed, placed over heart. I love you faithfully.
Oh. Ha ha ha.
Okay. So in flirtation, fan open wide, wait for me. And fan partly open, you can approach.
Ooh.
Yes, you can come and talk to me. Fan opening and closing slowly. Cruel. You're cruel.
I play with my fan like this all the time.
Fan opening and closing quickly. Impatience.
Oh, that's funny.
Now this one I just don't know what to say because it says here fan twirling in right hand. First, I'm left-handed. Also, I don't know which twirling.
I mean, swinging maybe, or I don't know.
I don't know what is meant by twirling in that. Just gonna say that. But apparently,
this isn't really.
It's not really a twirling thing. Okay. Twirling in right hand, I love another. Twirling in left hand, we can be friends. Fan drawn slowly across the cheek, I love you. And yeah, I would guess that's this. Slowly across the cheek. I don't know, because again, not a lot of specification here. Fan drawn across the eyes, I'm sorry. So, I don't know,
Again, doesn't say if it's open or closed.
Yeah, it might just be this, I'm sorry, or, like, again, I'm left-handed, I'd be better off doing this. Maybe like this, I'm sorry. It says drawn across the eyes. Or did they mean like this?
Go.
Yeah, I'll go. Okay, now this one I like. Fan drawn through the hand. I hate you.
Oh wow.
Hate you.
Huh.
I feel like I get that one.
I get that
I get that one.
Yeah.
Let's see. Fan tapping chin, I think of you constantly.
Oh.
Fan tapping the left hand, right to me. Fan tapping the right hand, follow me.
Ooh, bonking around, wow, get up under that petticoat.
This one was important. Dropping one's fan indicated
Yeah.
we're being watched.
Uh-oh.
Fan closed sharply, leave it once.
Ooh, get away.
That is talk to the hand in Versailles. Fan placed on left ear, I want to be rid of you. Fan placed on right ear, I want to be with you. Fan held flat in left hand. Do not betray our secret. I don't know why anybody would need to say that out loud.
Yeah, right?
Not even in fan language. Fan held flat in right hand. You may speak freely. Fan opened, covering face. We are observed.
Ooh.
So you would do this if you knew you were being watched.
I mean, that makes sense. So lip readers don't read what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. Fan. Okay, so I said this was I hate you.
Yeah.
So there's a slow version. This is I despise you.
Like wringing their neck, nice and slow.
Mm.
I feel that one too.
It really goes on and on and on. Things like, meet me later, fan resting on left shoulder.
Oh.
Fan resting on right shoulder, follow me immediately.
Oh.
And that makes sense too, because with the fan in the left hand, right to me,
Right.
follow me.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
fan waving slowly, indicated I'm married.
Oh.
But a fan waving a little more quickly meant I'm engaged.
Oh my God.
Fan used to hide a yawn, you bore me.
No.
Fan snapped open dramatically, so we basically, we know this indicates anger, you're done, I want you to go away.
Yeah, right.
But open, it's, you're too daring.
Ooh.
Oh, you're too bold.
Haha.
Interestingly enough, it did say, at one point, fan slowly waving, I'm married, and then later it said, fan slowly fanning self, you interest me, fanning rapidly, I'm jealous. I don't understand how. There's got to be something in the way they're doing it.
I mean, it might be in the conversation that you're with. So, like, if you and I are talking, all of a sudden I start fanning quickly, like, jealous. It's like if we're gossiping about something.
Okay.
That would make sense. Or, like, slowly, like, this is boring.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it's so catty, the
Right? Hiding the yawn, that is so
That
catty.
is so catty.
Like, I mean, it's polite to hide a yawn anyways. But, like, I mean, in Versailles, like, yeah, no, that is definitely catty.
One thing they would do, is you could tap a friend on the shoulder with your fan, and it would say, "Let me speak for you." Oh. So, like, if you were in a conversation, somebody was being an asshat, right?
Yeah.
And I wanted to speak up in your defense, I would tap you on the shoulder with my fan. It'd be me saying, let me speak.
Let me say something.
Let me at him, boss.
We'd have welts on our shoulders from how often we'd be tapping on each other.
It was like, whap, whap, whap. Anyway, this goes on and on and on.
That is so cool. So many messages.
So many. I could have done the entire episode on the fan language alone, and if that is an episode you want, you can drop us a comment.
That would be fun.
And we can do that. And maybe we could do like a little conversation where we like yip at each other and fan.
Oh, that'd be fun, where we're just, like, bashing each other while we're, like...
Like, whack, 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 whack. But we give you the subtitles.
Right. Then with that being said, hit that like button, share, subscribe, send us some love, and tune in a couple weeks. I think I'm going to tackle a little bit of the 30-Year War and the impact it had on, the impact the 30-Year War had on pretty much all of Europe.
Mm-hmm.
France specifically, of course, but... Yeah, my next episode will be briefly about the 30-Year War before we eventually move on to the affair of the poisons.
Okay, all right.
Oh.
And, I don't know, I feel like I just signed myself up for doing an entire episode on the fan language, possibly. I'm not really sure.
I mean, with the way we have our subscribers, there's only 40, so if anyone leaves a comment, I mean, that's pretty much you signed yourself up.
Right.
Yeah.
So I will probably do the fan language. There's more to cover than I had an opportunity. I really wanted to cover the palace in more than just the Hall of Mirrors. The Hall of Mirrors is one thing, and I'm so glad that you covered Madame de Montespan's apartments because that was one of the things to cover. But there were salons and theaters, and really the understanding the rooms of Versailles, the theatricality of Versailles. We kind of glossed over the highlights. There's also more in the gardens that I really wanted to cover.
That's why I want to go back to the 30-Year War here soon.
In that vein, we've decided that we were spending too much time only covering the highlighted gloss. There was a time when our episodes were getting too long. Now they've kind of gotten maybe a little too short, and we're hitting the highlights more than we'd like to. So we're going to try to find a happy medium, and starting next episode, we're going to lengthen those out a little bit more so that we can cover a little bit more detail. We know that so you guys are really excited about this stuff. Yeah. We don't just want to hit the highlights for you guys.
Right.
So, big shout out to Green Health.
And we love you, Natalie.
Yeah, Natalie, if you're watching.
If you do tune in and watch us, we love you. And we hope to see you again sometime.
And thank you all so much for being here.
Bye.
Live long and prosper.